Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. This is Sydney speaking, and this week we'll be starting a series of SolidCAM, what's new in SolidCAM 2015. And we have actually a lot of things that are actually very, very interesting to show you. And so let's actually get started with the webinar and start showing you exactly what's going on. Okay. Let's first start with some of the general enhancements that we've added inside SolidCAM. The first thing that we've done is we've had templates in the program for quite a while, but what we've done now is we've added actually default templates for all of our 2.5D milling operations. As these templates are automatically loaded inside your program. As you can see on the screen over here, and we'll go a little bit, and I'll show this to you in a few moments in the program itself. We can have the different templates with different names for each different type of operation, and all of them are checked off with the check mark next to it. This is also extremely useful for starting with a default tool, of always having a specific tool inside your operation. We'll get into that. We'll show you exactly what we're talking about. Now, in addition, we've also added another quick start option. The quick start option, whenever you open up a program today, you always get this window at the very beginning. We've added an option inside our CAM settings that this will automatically select this, so it just bypasses this window. You don't even have to select it. Together with some other options, we can actually go directly into our operations itself. Let's actually take a look at it on the part that we have on our screen. I'll show that to you in a moment. First, let's take a look at our SolidCAM settings. If I were to go into my SolidCAM settings, you'll see the following. In my templates, we have, as I've showed you, templates already checked off over here. In addition, if I go to my CAM part over here, we have this new option I was talking about called Auto Select Project Location. That skips the new CAM part dialog. Okay, now, in addition to this, we've had this before, but I'll actually go over this again. We also have a setting for definition of CNC controllers to skip the need to pick a controller, automatically take the default controller, and it'll automatically also create your home position, your coordinate system. We can also have it defining the stock automatically and defining the target automatically. Well, let's first take a look at what happens to a part the way you'd normally work up until this point without all of these settings checked. So I'll take away all of these settings, and we'll first see what it means to work without them being checked. We'll click on OK. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to load a part from SolidWorks. Let me open up a part. And this is a simple electronic box, housing of a sort, and we need to start our operations. What we normally do is we go to New, and then we click on Milling. When we get milling, we get this dialog over here. And usually what I normally do, since everything in my case always towards my default, I'm just going to click on OK. OK. Next, I have my controller. Since I will be working with my default controller, I'm just going to leave it at that. My coordinate system, I have to create my coordinate system, and I'm going to put it at the center, top center of my model box, and it's created over there. Okay, everything is all set. Look at all this work I have to do right now. Next, I have to define my stock. So we'll click on the part, define my stock exactly the way I want it. In addition, I have to go ahead and define my target. Click on the target, Now I have it. Only now can I go out and start my operations. Okay? So you see how much work I had to do just to get my operation started. Let me actually close this out now and go back to my settings and see what happens if I put it under my new settings. We'll go to CAM Part, click on Auto Select Project Location, as well as my automatic CAM part definition. I'll click to use the default CNC controller, and to create my Mac 1 position, my coordinate system position, automatically at the top center of my stock model box. In addition, I can create my stock automatically as well as my target. And I'll click on OK. Now let's take a look what happens when I start a new project. We'll open up my SolidWorks part. All I'm going to do now is click on New and choose Milling. Note what happens. At this point, I'm ready to start my operations. My target was defined, my stock was defined, my coordinate system was defined, my machine was automatically chosen. I am ready to start working. Of course, I can always go back and make any changes I want over here. But the idea was I am ready in a jiffy just to start working on the part itself. Simple few settings and we're done. Now that I have this part, let me go look at my part settings. If I go look at my part settings now, if I go to my template, you'll see that my templates are automatically loaded over here. And these are now installed inside SolidCAM. Okay, so if I were to start, for example, a 2.5D face milling operation, you'll note all I have to do at this point is create my geometry. I'll choose my target for that. If I go to my tool, you'll see that my tool already exists. I already have a default tool. If I want, I can go and change it, but a tool already exists. I can start working already. My levels exactly the way I want them. Technology, the way I want to work on it. All I have to do, save and calculate, run my simulation, and you can see my tool is doing all the work I need to be done on the part already. That's just because my templates were chosen over here. If I were to go, for example, to a profile operation, I'll just choose my geometry, click over there, create my entire chain around the part itself. You'll note again, there's a default tool here. Of course, like I said, you can always change your tools. Levels, I have my levels here. I can always repick my levels if I want. In this particular case, since I picked my geometry from here, it automatically gave me the bottom level as well. My technology is set at finish, but I can always add a rough operation and a step down. And my link is already set. Save and calculate, simulate, and I have my operation done over there. Same thing for any pocket operation. Using a pocket operation, we'll go back in here, just create my geometry. We'll choose this over here. I'll choose this also because these are islands. Accept that. You can see again, my tool is in there. My levels, I can choose a level again if I need to. Technology, all of this is automatically set, including lead out. Accept that. Run my simulation again, and you can see, again, everything is done over here. That's how quickly it is to work. Now, if you don't want the templates, no problem. You can always go into your settings, into templates. You can always uncheck them. That's in case you don't want your templates. Okay? You can also do that in your regular settings, in the general settings. If you don't want to use templates, you can, but the idea is when you're using the templates, you'll always get a tool already defined inside, a default tool. Now, if you note on this part, there are also holes over here, tapped holes, counterbore holes. We'll get back to that towards the end because I have a little surprise for you at the end. Right now, I'd like to go to my next to my next stage. But before that, I just also want to point out something else. Note on our ribbons on top, we have our SolidCAM part and SolidCAM operations. If I take my mouse and just go over them, each one of them actually shows you a more detailed explanation of what each button does. Simulate, 2.5Ds, 3D HSM, little explanation what that is. SolidCAM part as well. Copy. All of the buttons have an explanation to them, making it a little easier to understand. Not only that, if I was to go into an operation that I created over there, you note this little question mark over here? If I click on the question mark, bring it to any one of our fields, say this field over here, it'll take me exactly to my help on that particular field. A lot easier to find out information if you're not sure of what a specific field does. Go into technology. Let's say you take the question mark over to this area over here. It explains everything, takes you exactly to where you need to go to find out more information about that particular function. And we have this throughout the entire program. Okay, now let's get back and continue on. Let's talk a little bit about coordinate systems. One of the things that we've done now in coordinate systems is if you have a coordinate system, you can instead of creating physically a coordinate system at each one of these areas, I can actually create a coordinate system either by matrix, as shown over here, this way creating several different home positions, and each one of these will be a new home position without me having to physically create one. Another option that we have is not only matrix, but we can create a coordinate system around a specific axis, saving me the time of actually creating different coordinate systems each time. In addition, we can also use these in combined. Notice I can create coordinate systems both in matrix and then take the matrix and flip all of them around to on the fourth axis to a different spot as well. In addition, while using the operations, I can select by a simple right click on my Mac 1 position 1 or any of my coordinate systems and choose the option of selecting operations using the same Mac, the same coordinate system. How this works, where we use it, we'll see that in a few moments. Okay. Now, in addition to that, we've also made a vast improvement in our transformation. Transformation today allows you to actually transform not only matrix, not only a fourth round of fourth axis, but allows you to create a matrix to a transformation to a different coordinate system that you have. So I can say I have an operation right now on, for example, G54. Now I want to take that same operation and put it on G55, G56, G57. I can create them to all different, I can transform them to different coordinate systems. Let's take a look at how this works. Okay. We'll close the part that I have on my screen, and I'm going to load a new part. I'll go into SolidWorks and load this part that I have over here. And as you can see, this is a part. Actually, I have more than one part here. I have a part on this side over here in a matrix formation on this side of my tombstone, as well on the flip side over here. Not only that, on this side, I have a completely different part with a different matrix layout, and I also have that on the flip side. So let's actually start my operations. Now, before I go, I'd like to go into my CAM settings. This time, I just want to go and get rid of my automatic CAM part definitions, because there's some things I'd like to do over here. Okay? I'll get rid of all this for now. Okay. We'll start my new CAM project, milling. Okay, just one moment. There's one more thing I forgot to do. And I'll get rid of that as well. Okay. Let's start now with our new project. We'll go to New, Milling. We'll accept that. Sorry, give it a new name. I'll choose my particular machine that I want to work on. In this particular case, I'm going to put it on a horizontal milling machine. So I happen to have a post that's specific for my horizontal milling machine. And I'll start creating my home position. Coordinate system defined the first one, and I'm going to click on, I want to have it at the corner of model box. I'll click over here. I put it in that particular corner over there. I just want to pick my origin to a different spot. I'll put it over here. And I also want to flip it around that my X goes in the opposite direction. So I'll flip it around Z, and we're all set. We have that first coordinate system created. Now, I need coordinate systems also on each one of these. Okay? This can be done very easily. If I were to right-click, we have the option, as I've mentioned, Create Transform Copies. Okay? I can do it either by Translate or by fourth axis. Let's first start by Translate. We'll choose the option of Matrix. And I did my pre-measurement over here on the part, but I'll just put in the values over here. I have 2 in the X direction at a distance of 209 millimeters. And in my Y direction, I have a total of 3 at a distance between them and 200 millimeters. Now, since this is a coordinate system that on the machine I have to create it as well, if there are any changes over here, I don't have to come back here. It's going to go to that particular coordinate system. You'll see what I mean in a few moments. I'll just click on OK. Now, besides this, I also want to create these coordinate systems on the flip side as well. So I'll take this entire matrix that I have over here and also do a transform via the fourth axis, where my angle is 180 degrees. I'm going to insert them. And you see it added itself over here. And I can also decide what's my angle, what's my rotation axis vector. If I do that, I have to choose 2 points. Now, I've already created a line over here. So I'm saying, okay, this is my first point over here. I'll accept that. And my second point is on that same line. I just picked the end point over there. That actually created my axis. The moment I do this, I can create my home positions. Note, I have a total of 12 different coordinate systems created over here. Okay? Done very simply and very easily and very quickly. You can see that on all sides over here. Now, if I want to continue, let me add another coordinate system. I'd like to add a new one. And this one I'm going to call MAC coordinate system number. Let's see, I'm going to call this 13. And I'm going to put it on this box. Sorry, not that, but the part over here. If I want to flip it around my Z to have my X go in that direction, no problem, I can do that. Now, in addition, I can take that one and again do the exact same thing I did last time. Right-click, create transform copies, translate, matrix. There are two of them over there, and they're only in the Y direction. So I'll just go just to my Y direction, put two over there, and my step is 400 millimeters, which I already pre-checked beforehand. Now, in addition, I also want to turn that around my fourth axis. Again, 180, insert. My vector already exists, and I'll enter that. So now I have another home position over there as well. Okay? Now, there's one more thing I should note. This particular part, since it's on the same part over here, I have also a hole over there. So I'm going to create on position number 13, a MAC number 13, another position. I'll add, let's make it at the center revolution face of this particular hole, and just have my X direction go where I want it. We'll accept that, and that's it. Note, I only created one, and that's all I'm going to create. We'll soon see in a few moments why. Okay. So as you see, what I've done here is I now have all of these different coordinate systems. Easily done without me having to go to each one of those and pick a different, create a new coordinate system. Now I'm going to close this part, and let's start showing you the new option that we have there for actually doing transformative operations using the coordinate systems. Now, before we had the option of transformation of operations from coordinate system to one coordinate system to another, we only had the option of using either translate or around fourth axis. Well, let's see how we used to do it, and then we'll see how we can do it now. I'm going to load the part that I already have done operations on. And this is a case, first let me show you the case where I did not, before we had the option of transformation. When I had the option, when I didn't have the option of transformation, the only way I was able to transform from one to the other and also flip it around my fourth axis correctly, if I were to go into my coordinate system manager, you'll see this correctly, I was only able to have one coordinate system. Okay? That's all I had. In other words, on the machine, I only had one coordinate system. The control of where each one of these were done is inside the program itself. That was the only place I could control where the operations are going to be. And as you note, we have our first position. Our first position always had to be in the center. The center of rotation was always my first position in this particular case when using a tombstone. And I was only able to have one coordinate system. Different positions, but only one coordinate system. Okay? This actually limited me as to the amount of flexibility I had on the machine itself. Let's see exactly how this used to work. Okay. Let me just clear what I had over here. Now, I started off in this particular case by creating a face mill operation on this part over here. Note, I'm using my first coordinate system, but by second position. My first position is not even being used for operations, but I had to create it in any case. My operation that I created over here was for that particular part. Okay? Now, if I wanted to do the face mill on all of these over here, as well as the ones on the other side, I had to do the following. Right click and use my transform. This was not available. All I was able to do was either translate, which I did in this particular case, and I would put my value in over here. 2, and in the step of 209, just like I had before. And over here, I would put a value of 3 and 200. In addition, I would take this and put it around my fourth axis. I would include my original operations and say 180 degrees. Okay? So now my operations are being done, and they're doing actually done very correctly. However, if on the flip side, the next time I come, I had to make sure that this is always in the exact same position. I cannot have them even moved up, even if I take this and this is slightly above it, further up on my tombstone the next time I come to it. If I would have it a little further up, I would have to come back and change my coordinate system. I can't do it on the machine. I have no control. I have to come back to my program and make changes. The same thing for this one over here, where I have face milling over here for that particular part as shown over there. Again, I would have to do the same thing, transform. This one would be translate matrix 2 in that direction and the value of 400, as well as around my fourth axis, 180 degrees, and insert that. Okay? The limit, now this works, like I said, it works very well. However, you're limited. You do not have any control of positioning on the machine because it's all off of the very first. The very first coordinate system is the only thing you put on the machine. It's the only coordinate system you put on the machine. The rest is controlled inside the program. Okay, now let's take a look at what happens if I were to load work in the new system. I'll close this part. And I'll open another part which I've done a little different. In this particular case, you'll note, if I go into my coordinate system manager, I have a different coordinate system for each one of these sides. This one over here, the flip side over there, this one over here, for this part over here. Now, in this one, I have actually two positions. The first one over here and the second one for that hole on the side. The fourth coordinate system has only one position on the flip side of this this position over here. Note, even though on this part I also have a hole on the side, it's the same exact same part, but I do not need to create that other position. And in a few moments you'll see why. Okay. Now, again, I had the exact same operations for my face mill. Mac 1, position 1. Note, I did not need a coordinate system in the middle. If I were to choose the operation, you can see exactly what I have over there. It does that one spot. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I also have some milling operations for the pockets for Mac 1, position 1. This one over here, this one over there. All of these operations were created for Mac 1, position 1, the first coordinate system in the first position. Okay, now what I like to do is I like to choose all of these and start my option of transformation. Now, like I've showed you in the very beginning on the PowerPoint, is that if I right-click over here, Mac 1, position 1, I can select all the operations using the same Mac, which I just did. You see, it's automatically created and I didn't have to start looking for them. Now let's start my transform. If I go to transform, note what we have here. I can say, all right, you know what, let's just put it on different coordinate systems. But before that, I can also show you that we can combine different types of transformations together. For example, this side, I decided to do it via translate. Okay, so I'll click on translate, matrix, the exact same way I did it before, with the right values for my distances, and that's all done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on a different coordinate system. Include the original operation. You'll see Mac 1, position 1 is added over here, as well as Mac 2, position 1 as well. If I were to click over here, I can choose different Macs that exist also, but this is the one I need, Mac 1, position 2. If I right-click, I can add more, but that's all I need for now. Accept that, and now we have the transformation for all the different parts over here on both sides. Now what's great about this is that this is based on the coordinate system that you put on the machine. So if the next time these parts are sitting on some kind of plate and they're moved up, no problem. You don't have to go back to your program and make any changes because it's based on the coordinate system. On the machine, you just put your coordinate system in, and that's it. No changes need to be made. Okay? This is done for all of these operations as shown over here. Okay? Now, let me actually go to my next side over here, this part over here. Now remember over here, I had my operations for this side over here, as well as the drilling on this side over here. But if you remember also correctly, I did not create for my fourth position on this side another, for my fourth coordinate system on this side, another position. I only had one position. Let's see how I do the transformation this time. I'll choose, I'm just going to choose, let's see, I'll choose this operation. And I'll choose this operation. Okay? And, sorry, this one and this one, those two Mac positions, and we'll do our transform. Again, I'll do my regular translate that I did before. This time, I'll do this here as 2 parts, distance of 400. And now I'm going to do coordinate system. Note, when I do the coordinate system, I only have to do it to Mac 1, position 1. The second position will automatically reference itself to this new Mac 4. Since the position 2 of Mac 3, of coordinate system number 3, is relative to the very first one, the very first position, the same thing will happen when I move it to the next coordinate system. We'll just add that, and that's it. Let's take a look at the actual toolpath that were created over here. On these over here and this over here, you'll note we have our operations over here, as well as the ones over here, as well as the drilling in position 2 on this side and the one on the flip side. The major advantage, again, of using options of coordinate systems is you have a lot more control on the machine itself, and no changes have to be made in the program. You don't have to come back to the program if it's not in the exact same position, because all you're doing is creating that new coordinate system on the machine itself, and it'll always go to that coordinate system. Okay, let's continue on now with the next part. Okay. If you remember from our last couple webinars, we had talked about SOLIDWORKS Whole Wizard feature recognition, where we actually now recognize the parameters that from SolidWorks itself, that gives us from the Whole Wizard. SolidWorks has a feature called Whole Wizard, and we now recognize those features inside SolidCAM. Okay, that we had mentioned, and we can put them into a machining process. We have all different types of holes that we were talking about, that we support actually. We talked about counter-bore holes, countersink, tapped holes, and simple holes. And we also have the option of conditions for deciding on which parameters to use or what values to use for different types of spot drills, for example. All of these we have inside our machining process, as well as recognizing the Whole Wizard. We also, because of the SolidWorks Whole Wizard recognition, we also can pick up the geometry features of the holes itself. But now we've added a new operation. Since we're working specifically on Whole Wizard, we actually have an operation called Whole Wizard Process, which makes the choosing and creating the operations for those holes a lot easier. Well, let's see exactly how this works. Okay, so we'll go over to my other screen, and we'll load a new part. We'll start with this part over here. This is a part where if we take a look at it, just open it for a moment in SolidWorks itself, you can see that this was created with different Whole Wizard features, such as a simple regular hole. We have here also a flathead screw, as shown over there, countersink. We also have tapped holes, as shown over here. All of these were created using the SolidWorks Whole Wizard feature. Okay. Being that it was done that way, and now that we also recognize those features, we have a new operation specifically for that. It's called Whole Wizard Process. It's right dead center of our ribbon on top. This can also be located inside Recognitions, Whole Wizard Process, as well as right-clicking on Operations and picking up Whole Wizard Process. Okay, let's just click over here, and then just ask us the following. Which one do we want? Do we want to do counter-bore hole, tapped hole, countersink holes, or simple holes? Let's actually do the first thing that actually pops into my eyes. I see the counter-bore holes here. Let's click on counter-bores. Click on the hole. You note it's automatically recognizing that entire series of holes of that particular counter-bore, and I'll accept that. And that's all there is to it. I have 5 operations created. I want more? No problem. I want another counter-bore hole. This time I'll choose this one over here. Again, it's recognizing all of them. Accept that. I have more operations being created. Simple, click and pick. Tapped holes. Choose that hole. Done. Let's choose another tab tool, for example. We have this one over here. Again, accept that. It's done. We have countersink holes. So let's choose a countersink hole now. Countersink. Click on my countersunk hole. It's done. Simple holes. Here's my simple hole over here. And it's done. You can see all of these operations are created very quickly and very simply. Let's just take a quick look at my simulation over here. We'll do this with Solid Verify. You can see all of the operations were created exactly with the proper tool, with the proper depth, exactly the way where it was supposed to be and exactly the way it was supposed to be done. And you saw how quickly I just created all of these operations over here. And all this was done just simply clicking on Hole Wizard, Process, and choosing what I need. But let me load now a different part where I'm going to use it. This particular part that I have, if you'll take a look, the Coordinate System Manager, I have two different positions, two different coordinate systems over here. Well, that's not a problem either. Hole Wizard Process, I'm going to choose my second coordinate system. Let's do tapped holes. Click on it. You can see it was selected, and that's it. Okay. If I were to go back again, this time choose on Mac 1 position 1. Tapped holes. I'll just click on that, and we're done over there as well. Another one. Let's do the counter bore holes, for example. Now choose these counter bores over here. Click, and we're done. Very little interaction needed with the actual user interface. All you do is click on the Hole Wizard Process, choose the type of hole, and just pick that particular tapped hole, in this particular case over here. And that's it. And the operations are created. That quick, that simple, that easy. Okay. Let me just check if there are any questions. Okay, just a moment. Okay, question about templates. The template, there's a question about the Z level in the templates. There's a program assume the Z level. The Z level, as far as the upper level goes, is what's ever written in the original template. Okay? It's whatever is written in the template, that's where there is no assumption. Now, in a normal template, the way we have it done, taking that into account, so there shouldn't be any kind of mishaps, what we've done in our templates, and I'll even open just another operation just to show it to you. Yeah, I believe I do have it here. Profile. If I go into my levels, everything is set at 0. This is a 0 level over here, by the way. Okay, everything is set at 0. So this way, even if you forget to choose it, nothing will happen. Okay, now the reason why I already had a value is because when I choose my geometry and say choose this line over here, for example, the Z level is automatically entered according to my first pick, as shown over here. That already has to do with your picking of the geometry itself. Okay, another question that was asked In the second Hole Wizard part, is there any way of sorting tools after creating jobs? Okay. Right now, what you can do, you cannot break the order of the actual process that's created here, because that would not be correct, because I can't put a spot hole before my drill, and we protect it. However, what I can do, okay, I can take this one and I can put it over here. I can take my spot drill and put it over there. Okay, not a problem. I can do that with any one of the spot drills if they're the same diameter, obviously. This one is a different diameter, so I can, however, take it and put that over here as well. I have no problem taking my spot drills forward. I can take it forward to a different position as long as I don't overcross that particular process that I created over there. Is version 2015 available now? If not, when? This new service pack is actually coming out. It should be within the next week, where all of these that I showed you will be available. Okay. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us in the webinar, and join us next week for part 2 of what's new in SolidCAM 2015. Take care, everyone, and have a great weekend.